Hi everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Cutscene Artist. Now today I want to just kind of set up a scenario and explain what I need before I actually explain the tutorial that I'm going to do. So what I need is a way to attach clothing, long hair, and other skinned meshes to a figure that has already been rigged, and I don't want to re-rig the figure. I just want to attach these, like the clothing that I can make in Marvelous Design or whatever. And if the figure has blend shapes, I want the clothing to get the blend shapes too. And then what I want is, I don't want this to be like a lot of times what I do in Unity is I build the same figure over and over and over because for whatever reason, Unity updates or, I move on to another project, but I end up rebuilding the same figure again and again and again. So what I want to be able to do is just export the figure as a standard FBX. And that way it can go into any software. It doesn't have to be Unity. It can go into anything. So what I'm going to do is show you my scene here. Now, here's the idea. I have a rigged figure that I've imported into Unity. It's a fuse figure. This is one of my body base meshes from itch.io. And I've made a shirt in Marvelous Designer, and I've imported them both into Unity. And now the issue is I can drop both of these in my scene, but like the shirt is just static geometry. It is not rigged to this figure. And so if I just show you really quick, like obviously his the shirt's not following his bones. So let me just undo that real quick. So what I need to do is copy his rigging and his like skinning information into the shirt and make the shirt into a skinned mesh. And then I want to attach that skinned mesh under the figure hierarchy. So it's like a part of the model, okay? And then I'm going to export the model so I can use it all the time. But first, all month long, February, I'm going to be working with these figures. We're going to be updating the figure hierarchy. We're going to be merging down the meshes. We're going to be editing the blend shapes and creating new blend shapes. So you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell if you want to receive the alerts when the videos go live. And if you think this video will be helpful, please hit the like button. I think that's how it ends up showing up in the YouTube search engine. So let me get back to my tutorial. Okay, so what is this miracle tool that's going to do all of this for me, and I'm not going to have to think or learn anything difficult? I'm just going to, learn the barest minimum, and it's going to do everything for me. Okay, so let me show you exactly what that tool is. Why are you not shrinking down? There we go. Okay, so it's on the asset store. It's called SkinVM, and the VM stands for Vertex Mapper. Now, there is a paid version that I'm actually using, but I'm just going to, this tutorial today is just going to involve the free version. So you can, even if Unity is not your main squeeze, not your jam, that's okay. Unity is free. SkinVM is free, and the FBX exporter is free. So, and we're not doing anything technical. Like I said, this is going to be pretty easy. So I've already downloaded it and installed. So, no. Now, just before I go on, I do recommend that you buy the paid version. It's just got a lot more tools in it, and in the videos I'm making later this month, I'm going to be using the paid version, but you don't need it for this. Now, let's, you know what, I'm just going to delete the shirt and... Okay, so there are a few import settings that you need to do before you can run the Vertex Mapper. And the important things are that we need to make sure that the mesh isn't being screwed around with by Unity. So we're going to turn mesh compression off. I'm going to turn on the read and write enabled because we are going to be editing at least the shirt mesh. And optimize mesh I set to nothing. Now, since this is a fused figure, I go ahead and use the legacy blend shapes. We're not really touching the figure or animating or anything, so I don't think it's really that important right now. There's also a lot of extra FBX import, like, you know, cameras, lights. This is scene hierarchy from Maya or from Studio Max, but obviously that's not in here, so I just turned it off. I don't think it matters. I'm pretty sure Unity can filter that out. And I did that for the shirt as well. Mesh off, compression off, read-write enabled is on, and optimize mesh is nothing, not at all, nada. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this is what we do. Oh, well, there's one other quick thing that I did want to show you. Okay, so this is from Fuse, my figure, and you know, there's no point in sending the full res textures up to the Mixamo Auto Rigger because it's just going to mangle the textures anyway. So I downloaded them, I exported them separately out of Fuse. So these are the full 2K textures, and I have added them onto a body material, just all the maps in the right place, and then I've applied the material onto all of the body parts. Now that's going to be kind of relevant later when we make the FBX, but just to let you know that I did do a little bit of work here, just a little. Like the embarrassment, I put together a material for it. Okay, so I'm going to right-click in the hierarchy, and I'm going to create Skinn Vertex Mapper, and that creates a game object with a Vertex Mapper on it. So all of this happens in a scene. Subsequently, this can happen at runtime, but that's a little advanced. I'll save that for the next video. We're just going to do it in the editor. So the Vertex Mapper needs 3 things to work, and the first that I'm going to add in is the source asset, and that is the skinning and bones on our figure. I'm just going to drop him in there, and there's a drop-down list where we want to set the mesh that we're actually reading the information from, and that's going to be the body. The next thing that we need is a target asset, which is the geometry of our shirt, and that one doesn't have any submeshes, but I guess you can select it there too. And the third thing that we need is the root in the scene, the root of the figure, where it's going to build the hierarchy. Now, just before I do this, I want you to notice that the source asset, where it's taking the bones and the skinning and the body shape information, and the clothing asset they're not in the scene, they are in the project folder. So what's in my scene is going to end up getting the new skinned mesh, the clothing, but this doesn't have to be the full body. Like, this could just be the head and hands, and then we're gonna, like, you know, create the clothing based on a body that's not even in our scene. So just some options so you know. And you know what, that's all we really have to do. It's just those 3 things, and I'm going to hit the create button. It's going to be very anticlimactic, but ta-da, that was it. And now look at this. Here is my new mesh, and when I bend the figure, look at that, the shirt is rigged. Okay. Well, that was so easy, right? Even I can do it. Now, if we're done, you can hit done. If you want to do it again, there are a lot of settings here. You can fuss with them. I'm not going to go through them. You can see it does it automatically, and it's taking the weight mapping from the original figure. You don't need to use a fused figure. This can be any figure, okay? Any rigged figure that you've made the clothing that fits. So I'll just hit done. That's so that if I do it again and just hit create, it will write over the mesh that it created. Now there's a few things that you need to know. The mesh that it created, this new shirt, it's not saved anywhere. This is like just scene geometry. So if you don't save the scene, if you don't like make a new prefab, this shirt doesn't really exist outside of this scene. So if you use the pro version or the paid version of Skinn and you bring the figure and try to make a prefab, it will give you a warning, and you know you need to resave the assets. But if you are using just the free version, it's not going to give you that warning, so just be aware. You know, this figure is like half dependent on my import and half dependent on scene geometry, so just be careful when you're saving. Okay, I have one last thing to show you, and that's the FBX exporter. But before I do that, there's a couple of things I want to show you on the model. So when I made the shirt, I just used default settings, and the Vertex Mapper went ahead and put all of the fused blend shapes into the shirt. And now, of course, these are all facial blend shapes, so they don't affect the shirt geometry at all. So since I have the paid version of Skinn, I'm going to right click on the Skinn Mesh Renderer header, and it's going to give me a pop-up for Skinn, and I'm going to go to Shapes, Remove All, and you can also set up these settings in the Vertex Mapper itself, but I just wanted to show this quick little thing. And I'm also going to just add my shirt material. Now, where to get the FBX exporter is in the package manager, and it's usually not visible because apparently it's a preview package. So show preview packages, do a search for FBX and it will come up. Then you just install it. Okay, now what I need is in my project folder. I'm going to need a folder to export things to, and that's not where I wanted you to go, but I will just move that. Right, okay, so I have my exports folder, and I'm just going to right click on my model, and now that I have that FBX package, I'm going to export to FBX. and it's going to open me up a pop-up window. I'm just going to dock it up here, and I can name my model. And I'll select my exports folder. And hit export. I think that's it. Now it's going to take just a minute. So what I wanted to tell you was, remember when I created a new material with my own 2K textures that I had exported from Fuse? So this exported FBX model is going to use those new textures because I added that material. So this FBX that we're creating is created from my scene model, not the project folder. So, and as you can see, here is my little thumbnail, and he's got my blue shirt on him, right? So if we reveal in Finder, I'm going to just open with a text editor, and what you have is a pretty clean file. If you looked at FBX before, sometimes it's just a real mess, but Unity's seems to be making it pretty clean, and it is version FBX 2020, so it's brand new. And you have some room here to put in your own metadata. I don't know what software actually reads that metadata, but it might be helpful for you to, go ahead and kind of catalog what costumes you put. You might use keywords, you might name the character. I'm not sure, but that is in there. Something for you to look at. All right, that wraps up our tutorial for today. Now, February is a short month, but go ahead and subscribe because I've got more tutorials just like this coming up with the paid version of Skinn, where I'm going to tame all of these submeshes. I'm going to merge down the ones with the same materials, and then we're going to fix the blend shapes. We're going to edit blend shapes. We're going to add new blend shapes. That's all coming up this month, so hit subscribe, and also hit like if you think that this is a useful tutorial that someone else will appreciate. Thanks, guys, and I will see you next week on Cutscene Artist. Bye.